Hello and welcome back to another session on Ways with Words. We continue with the poem. We stopped with the fourth line, that is, we discussed first four lines of the poem. Let's have a quick recap. So the old house or the roadside stand, where does it stand? Where is it put up? It is put up in next to that old house, and it stands at the edge of the highway, and this is put up by a small time farmer. From the words like little old house, we understand that the farmer is not a very rich man but a very poor, simple man, and he has his intention of putting up a roadside stand would be to earn an extra income, so that would help them to live a better life. Their profession is farming, but this it is with a thought of having an additional income that he has put out this roadside stand. And in the stand, perhaps he has several vegetables and fruits that were grown in his field. Apart from what he has sold in the market, he must have put up this roadside stand to sell this, so that he will not, or he will get a little more of money, so that would support him or that would help him live a better life. Now he feels that these people would stop looking at the roadside stand. They would stop and buy some produce or make a purchase from this roadside stand. Unfortunately, they do not stop. And Frost makes a comparison, a contrast. He sharply compares and contrasts the roadside stand, which looks very pathetic, which looks very crude in comparison to what? In comparison to the fanciful cars, the luxurious cars that are heading past the city. So the poet through the also makes it a point, or Frost tells us very clearly, tells us that here they are not out for charity. They are not asking for money or free money. They are not asking, or they are not begging or asking for a charity. All that they are doing is to sell. All that they want is to sell these products, these vegetables and fruits that they have cultivated, and thereby earn money through their hard work. So they are not asking for any charity, and that you understand from the word a dole of bread. It is not for, it would not be fair to say for a dole of bread. I also told you what dole is. Dole means a grant that is given by the government to help the unemployed, or to the unemployed people during the Great Depression and all. So that itself, that from that word we understand that Frost is telling us that the farmers are not asking for charity. So a dole of bread here stands for charity. They are not begging, or they are not asking for charity. Rather, they are working hard, and they want to be appreciated for their hard work, and thereby want to sell their products and earn a better means of livelihood, or a better life. They would like to live a better life by earning some money. And the poet also urges the city dwellers or the rich people to be more sympathetic towards the poor. So that's where we stopped. Now let's continue the next few lines. But for some of the money, the cash whose flow supports the flowers of cities from sinking and withering faint, the polished traffic passed with a mind ahead, or if ever aside a moment, then out of sorts at having the landscape marred with artless paint of signs that with N turned wrong and S turned wrong, offered for sale wild berries in wooden quarts, or crook-necked golden squash with silver warts, or beauty rests in a beautiful mountain scene. You have the money, but if you want to be mean, why keep your money this crossly and go along? So that's almost a continuation. We can't stop anywhere. So it's a continuation, and these are also examples for enjambment. And you will find that the frost here refers to the flower of city. Here, look at the word. But for some of the money, the cash whose flow supports the flower of cities from sinking and withering fame. What do you mean by flower of cities? What is this flower of city? Flower of city is a reference to the product of industrial process, which is money. Industries. The industrial process. Where do you find these industrial process or industries? In the city. And industrial process and industries you will find in cities, you will find, and that is profitable. So there is again a contrast with the two professions, two sectors, the agricultural sector and the industrial sector. The agricultural sector is not lucrative, it is not productive. Whereas the industrial sector is a very profitable business, and you will find industries set up in cities and towns. And here there is also another reference to the cities, that is, see, every one of us pay our tax, right? So, but where does it go? Some of the amount that we pay, or all of us, be it a villager, be it a city dweller, be it a poor man or a rich man, all of us have to pay or do our duty to the country by paying an amount, paying our tax properly. So here what happens is the tax that is used, okay, or the tax that we pay is mostly used for ornating or ornamenting the cities. Cities in the development in whereas the villages are not getting developed. The villages, on the other hand, they also desire, they also have their share in this wealth. But nothing is happening to the villages. There is no development happening in the villages. All they are asking is for a good school or a good hospital, life-saving hospitals. They are not asking for super specialty hospitals or international schools. Rather, they are asking only for those basic amenities that would support or that would help the villagers to live a better life. But that does not happen. And all these cash, where does it go? All this cash goes to the towns or the cities, and thereby the cities grow, the towns grow. There lots of you have roundabouts, you have water fountains and parks and so many things. The city is developing. You have super specialty hospitals, you have big schools and industries. So the cities are developing, but the development is not happening to the village. So that's what the poet is arguing, or he's speaking using the word flower of cities. The flower of cities is a product of the industrial process, which is money, and Frost claims that it is this flower of the city, that is money or the wealth which it produces, that is able to sustain the city and keep it from sinking. So it is because the cities are able to produce, or there is a lot of money rolling, or that there is a lot of money flowing into the city, and that alone is the reason why cities are developing. They are not sinking. They are not sinking faint. That's what he says. From that, the flower of cities from sinking and withering faint. Withering, പൂക്കളാണ് wither ചെയ്ത് പോവുക, പൂക്കൾ പൊഴിഞ്ഞു പോവുകയാണ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ ഇവിടെ പൂവിൻ്റെ ഒരു he has used the image of a flower. He has picked a beautiful image from nature, a metaphor here, and he has used the flower to explain this process of money. So it is this money, because of this beautiful flower that has bloomed. The flower blooms. In order for a flower to bloom well, you need sun, you need water, and you need all the good soil. nutrients for a flower or a plant to produce flowers and become and stand healthy and strong. Whereas if you if it is denied the sunlight and if it is denied all these nutrients, then it doesn't grow, it withers away, right? So likewise, he uses this image from nature to tell how the cities grow because of the because of wealth. And the flower of cities, the wealth is the flower of cities. Flower of city എന്ന് പറയുന്ന wealth ആണ്, പണമാണ്. Industrial process inde it is the product of industrial process, which is money. Okay, so Frost, how beautifully he has used this image to tell us about how the great infrastructure and beautification of the city and the tax that we pay are being distributed in this way. An unequal distribution is happening, or unequal distribution of wealth is being portrayed here. Okay, and the rural cities are not growing because of that. There is no development happening in the rural areas. All right, and it is this flower also that the rural people also wants. It is a share of this flower, that is the wealth of the city, that the rural people want. So money is wealth is it circulates, right? So likewise, there is a flow. So the flow of the money is again what the rural people also want. So they also want a share of it. But Frost makes a deliberate point of saying that they are not looking merely for handouts. They are not looking for just a piece of pie. They also want an equal share. So here Frost is speaking about the equal, or he's trying to state the equal distribution of wealth. So he says they don't want just a share or a handout of it alone, or a pie, just a piece of pie. They are also working hard. They are also paying their taxes duly, and therefore they also want a proper share of it. Okay, so here in the fifth and the sixth stanza is about the unequal distribution of wealth that is pointed out very beautifully by Robert Frost, using the image of a flower, the flower of the city. Flower of the city is the industrial process, the product of the industrial process, and that is money. Money which is circulating, and money which keeps the cities, decorates the cities. The infrastructure is the development of the infrastructure, and all that is explained beautifully by Frost here. He also tells us that it is this flower that the villagers also want a share of. Okay, and then we come to the next line. The polished traffic passed with a mind ahead, at having, or if ever aside a moment, then out of sorts, at having the landscape marred with the artless paint. So here let me introduce you to another poetic device, and that is polished traffic. Now, what is polished traffic? Polished traffic, the figure of speech that is used here is transferred epithet. What is transferred epithet? Now, what is this epithet? Epithet is actually a kind of adjective. It is a modifier. Okay, so a transferred epithet, this has been used as for English students. You will be studying that in detail when you come to the second year, that is the third semester, or the fourth semester, that is the fourth semester to be precise. You will be studying about it in detail. The transferred epithets, which were used by the classical or the neoclassicists. It was during the Augustan period, that is, that they used a lot of this, the 18th century, that is, that they used this transferred epithet a lot. Now, transferred epithet again can be found in the classical writers, the classical writers of the past, the Greek or Roman period, where they used a lot of transferred epithets. Now, that the 18th century poets, they copied these classical writers and they used that in their poetry. So, transferred epithet is actually a style of writing where the modifier, that is an adjective, it qualifies the noun and not the subject that they are speaking about. It is not the subject that is speaking about, it is only qualifying the noun. Like, for instance, I shall give you an example. Instead of telling you this, you will not be, you won't be able to understand, grasp it clearly, because this is an adjective. This is an adjective, describing word. Describing a noun, describing a subject, describe. Again, subject is noun, but a subject is describing and noun describing. For example, and before we move on to polished traffic, let me give you a few examples. For instance, I had a wonderful day. Okay, I had a wonderful day. The subject is me. Okay, transferred epithet wonderful day. Look at the word wonderful day. Wonderful day is transferred epithet. The day itself is not wonderful. The day, how can the day be itself wonderful? The day is not in itself wonderful. The speaker, that is me, the subject, I had a wonderful day. Because I had a wonderful day, all good things happened to me, then that day becomes wonderful. So here the epithet is wonderful. Epithet is adjective, a modifier, a kind of adjective. Okay, and this is describing what? Describing the actual or the kind of day that I had or I experienced. So, my day was wonderful. Wonderful day. Another example would be cruel bars. Bars, B-A-R-S, cruel bars. Arigal, police station, prison. Cruel bars. How can bars be cruel? Bars cannot be cruel, right? They are inanimate objects, non-living things. How can they be cruel? But here we are merely trying to state that the person's cruel intentions. Prison has cruel intentions. So the cruel, somebody is put behind bars. A criminal is put behind bars, or an innocent person is put behind bars. Or no, you don't even need a bar. You may be locked inside a house by somebody, and the intention of that particular person would be cruel, and therefore that cruel nature passes to that bar, and therefore it speaks about the cruel intentions of the particular subject, and it is not the bars that are cruel. Another example is sleepless nights. Nights can be sleepless. How can nights be sleepless? We all sleep at night, but how can night be sleepless? Right? So it is the person experiencing a night that may be very disturbing to him, that he cannot sleep, and therefore that is called disturbing night. That is why he has this sleepless night. Okay, so sleepless night, and the word sleepless, look at the word sleepless, that is transferred to what? Transferred to the next thing, that is the noun, night. Cruel bars. Cruel ennu parayunna vaakku allengi adjective, modifier, description engottana passed on aayittulladu? Barsilottana passed on aayittulladu. I had a wonderful day. Wonderful ennu parayunna description, epithet, alla ennundengil adjective, modifier engottana pass cheyidittulladu? Day lottana pass cheyidittulladu. Whereas the subject is not the day, the subject is me, I, the speaker. Right? It is not passed on to me, but rather it is passed on to the next noun, the noun that is next to that description. Day, wonderful day. Likewise here also, if you look at polished traffic, polished, the word polished is passed on to traffic. Polished means what? Polished means very shiny, very rich, shiny kind of things are polished, right? Expensive things are very polished, shiny things. So here polished traffic, shiny traffic, shining. So it is a reference to the great or the fanciful cars or the dandy cars, like perhaps in your ഇതിപ്പോൾ 1920s ആണ്, പക്ഷേ ആ സമയത്ത് വേണമെങ്കിൽ പറയുന്ന മെർസിഡീസ് ബെൻസോ അങ്ങനത്തെ ഒക്കെ കാറുകളായിരിക്കാം. I don't know. Anyway, in your time it would be Audi or BMW or whatever, Ferrari or whatever. Okay, all those kind of cars are referred to as the polished cars. So the polished cars, transferred epithet endana? Epithet is transferred, the description is transferred to what? The noun, but not the one who we are speaking about. The subject is not spoken here. So who is the subject here? Polished traffic le subject aarana? City dwellers aanu. One who is rich, one who is famous, one who is rich or city le thamasikkuna, the haves and not the have-nots, not the poor people. They are the rich people, the wealthy class. So that is the subject, but the epithet is not transferred to whom? Transferred to the subject, rather it is transferred next to the epithet. അതായത് ഇവിടെ പോളിഷ്ഡ് എന്ന് പറയുന്ന വാക്കാണ് എപ്പിത്തറ്റ്. ഇവിടെ അതിൻ്റെ തൊട്ടടുത്ത് കിടക്കുന്ന നൗൺ ഏതാണ്? ട്രാഫിക് എന്ന് പറയുന്നതാണ് തൊട്ടടുത്ത് കിടക്കുന്ന നൗൺ. അതിലോട്ടാണ് പാസ്ഡ് ഓൺ ആയിട്ടുള്ളത്. Subject എന്താണ്? What is that the whole thing speaking about? The whole thing is speaking about, or transferred epithet, the polished traffic tells you about the rich people, the wealthy class. All right, so I hope you understood the meaning. All right, suicidal sky. How can sky be suicidal? Sky looks very gloomy. That is a time when the sky is looking very gloomy, very sad, but that is not because clouds are gloomy. Sky is not gloomy, sky is not suicidal, but the person, if I am suffering from depression, I am suffering from melancholy, and I feel when I look at the sky, I feel my life is, I feel an intense, or I feel sad even more, and my depression increases, I become very suicidal. So looking at the sky, I feel very suicidal. But it's not that the sky is suicidal. So the transferred epithet is not transferred, the epithet is not transferred to the subject but to another noun. The noun that stays next to the epithet, not the subject as such, not the speaker as such. Okay, likewise another one would be the farmer plodded his weary way. The way is weary. Farmer ആണ് weary. അയാൾ പാടത്ത് പണിയെടുത്തു, വീട്ടിലേക്ക് പോവാണ്, കാലുകളൊക്കെ വയ്യ, വേദന എടുക്കുന്നു. പാടത്ത് പണിയെടുത്ത് കൊയ്തു എല്ലാം പണിതൊക്കെ കഴിഞ്ഞു, വീട്ടിലേക്ക് പോകുമ്പോഴത്തേക്ക് കാല് വേദന എടുക്കാൻ. സോ ഫാമർ ഇസ് പ്ലോഡിങ് നടക്കാൻ വയ്യ, ഇങ്ങനെ വേദന കൊണ്ട് ആൾക്ക് വളരെ മെല്ലെയാണ് നടക്കുന്നത്. സോ ഹീസ് പ്ലോഡിങ് the weary way. The way is weary. Weary means tired way. So epithet is transferred from the farmer. It's not speaking about the subject, but instead it is speaking that this whole description is passed on to another noun. The way is being weary. Way neana the way nadakuna vadi. Ada becomes tired, it becomes weary. But what is it intending? What is the intention here? The intention of the poet is to tell you that the farmer is feeling very tired. Okay, likewise suicidal sky. The intention here is to tell you that the person who is feeling or is depressed, he is feeling suicidal, and looking at the grey skies, he looks it intensifies his depression. Cruel bars. The intention of cruelty, that person's cruelty, is what is spoken about or in the cruel bars. Likewise, I had a wonderful day. Wonderful day. If you look at the word wonderful day, the happiness that the speaker had is what is being spoken about. So there is the epithet is transferred not to the speaker but to the noun that stays next to that particular epithet. Clear? So here The polished traffic is a reference to what? The polished traffic is a reference to the sophistication of the city dwellers, the rich wealthy class. Now how do they pass? The polished traffic passed with a mind ahead. They have a mind ahead. The people who are in these rich luxurious cars, they are thinking about a lot of things, that they are preoccupied, they are fully occupied with the thought of making more money. So the rich people, they are either the ones who are working in industries or the rich business class, business magnates, doctors or engineers, those who are making a lot of profit, those who are making a lot of money. So they will always be preoccupied with this thing in mind. And what is that? They want to make more money, and therefore they are not ready to look at nature. They are not bothered to look at nature. They are just heading past the city with this thing in mind. And what is that? Make more money. So this sophisticated, complex attitude of these city dwellers are very clearly portrayed by the poet through the word polished traffic. The polished traffic passes with a mind ahead. They are preoccupied. They are having a lot of other things in their mind, and they are moving ahead, and therefore they don't have time to look at this roadside stand, or even to look at the sceneries, the beautiful landscapes of the village area. Villages ആ ഗ്രാമത്തിൽ കൂടെ പോകുമ്പോഴത്തേക്കും അതിൽ പ്രകൃതിയുടെ ഭംഗിയൊന്നും ആസ്വദിക്കാൻ അവർക്ക് നേരമില്ല. They are just thinking about making more money. Okay. And or if ever aside a moment, then out of sorts at having the landscape marred with the artless paint of signs that with N turned wrong or S turned wrong. So here he says these, if at all these people stop for a moment, they would only stop to speak or to scold these villages. ഈ വില്ലേജ് സൈഡിൽ നമ്മുടെ ട്രാഫിക്, നമ്മുടെ സിറ്റിയിലൊക്കെ കാണുന്ന പോലെ ആ ഗ്രീൻ ബോർഡ്, യു ഡോണ്ട് ഹാവ് ദറ്റ് ഗ്രീൻ ബോർഡ്, അൺലൈക്ക് ദ ഗ്രീൻ ബോർഡ് വിച്ച് ടെൽസ് യു all the directions, all the kilometers, those green boards that are put up. Unlike that, here in the village areas, you won't find those green boards. Rather, you will only find some wooden ഇങ്ങനെ ആരോ പോലെ ഒരു വുഡും കൊണ്ട് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ തടിയിൽ ഇങ്ങനെ എഴുതിയിട്ടുള്ള നോർത്ത് എന്നും സൗത്ത് എന്നും എഴുതിയിട്ടുള്ള കുറച്ച് ചെറിയ ഇതൊക്കെ ആയിരിക്കും അവിടെ വെച്ചിട്ടുണ്ടാവുക. And these people who are illiterate, these villagers are illiterate, they are not educated, and therefore they do not know whether it is pointing, they do not know where is north, where is south, and therefore they just point. They have written this north and south, and it is perhaps pointing at the wrong direction. And if at all these people in this rich cars, if at all they stop, they are not stopping there to look at the beauty of the landscape. They are not concerned with that. They are instead, they are not going to stop looking at the roadside stand either. So here in the city, they do not have here in the village they don't have these signboards, and that too these signboards are they don't even point to the right direction. So even if at all they stop, they only stop to point out the mistakes of these people. These people are not educated. First of all, again we should come back to this unequal distribution of wealth. Frost again makes it a point that if at all these wealth were distributed equally, then all these villages are asking is for a good school, a proper school. How many villages we have where we don't have schools, where our schools are where our children have to walk miles and miles to reach the school. They have to cross rivers, hurdles on the way, dangerous forests to reach a school. So if it should be an eye-opener, I feel this poem should be an eye-opener, and there should be equal distribution of wealth, at least the basic amenities at least. So if there were schools, if they had good schools where they were educated, then our villages, poor villages, would not be writing or pointing the signs to the wrong direction. It's not their fault that they do it. They are illiterate, simple village folks. At least have that sensitivity to understand what their situations are. They are simple folks. They are not educated like these rich city dwellers. Why can't they be more sensitive and sympathetic towards them instead of finding fault with them? So according to these people that they stopped, these city dwellers who stopped there, they would only stop to find that these directions or these arrows point to the wrong direction, to scold the villagers, to rebuke the villagers, to find fault with the villagers for pointing the signs to the wrong direction. So they say they just don't even for a moment think about these less fortunate people who are illiterate. Offered for sale wild berries in wooden quoits, or crook-necked golden squash with silver warts, or beauty rest in a beautiful mountain scene. Now, at having the landscape marked, I want you to come back to that line again. At having the landscape marred with the artless of signs, artless of paint. So another important factor that before we move on to the next few lines, I forgot to tell you that also. Ee wooden planking കൊണ്ട് അവർ ഇങ്ങനെ N എന്നും S എന്നും വെറും പെയിൻറ്റിങ് കൊണ്ടാണ് എഴുതിയിരിക്കുന്നത്. S എന്നും നോർത്ത് എന്നും S സൗത്ത് എന്നും ഇങ്ങനെ വെറും പെയിൻറ്റിങ് കൊണ്ട് എന്തോ ക്രൂഡായിട്ടാണ് എഴുതിയിരിക്കുന്നത്, ഭംഗിയൊന്നുമില്ല. അപ്പോൾ ദീസ് പീപ്പിൾ, they first of all are passing with a lot of things in their minds. They don't have the time to even value the beauty of nature, the rustic beauty, to appreciate the rustic beauty of nature. And if at all they stop, it is only when they have found that the north and the south is pointing to the wrong direction, and they stop to find fault, saying that these artless paints, that is how they say, artless of paint എന്നാണ് പറയുന്നത്. artless paint means crude ആയിട്ട് ഒരു ഭംഗിയില്ലാതെ വരച്ച് കൂട്ടി വെച്ച് കുത്തി വരച്ച് വെച്ചിരിക്കുന്ന ഈ arrows, and that too not pointing to the right direction. They only mar the beauty. What is mar? Obstruct, destroy the beauty of what? Beauty of this countryside, it seems. How? My next question is, how does this mar the beauty of the countryside? Do the signs, let me ask you a question. Do the signs, these roadside standum, അതേപോലെ തന്നെ ഈ സൈൻസും നോർത്ത് എന്നും സൗത്ത് എന്നും എഴുതിയിരിക്കുന്ന ക്രൂഡായിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു വുഡൻ പ്ലാങ്കിൽ വലിയ ഗ്രീൻ ബോർഡ്, ട്രാഫിക് ബോർഡൊന്നും അല്ലാതെ ഒരു വുഡൻ പ്ലാങ്കിലൊക്കെ നോർത്ത് എന്നും സൗത്ത് എന്നും എഴുതിയിരിക്കുന്ന ഈ പ്ലാങ്ക്, ഈസ് ദിസ് ദ വൺ ദാറ്റ് ഒബ്സ്ട്രക്ട് ദ ബ്യൂട്ടി ഓഫ് ദ കൺട്രി സൈഡ്? ഓർ is it these luxurious cars that don't fit into the picture of a beautiful mountain scene or beautiful landscape, which mars, which destroys the beauty? ഇതിൽ ഏതാണ് beauty destroy ചെയ്യുന്നത്? ഈ ആർട്ട്ലെസ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള നോർത്ത് എന്നും സൗത്ത് എന്നും എഴുതിയിരിക്കുന്ന ഒരു തടിയിൽ എഴുതിയിരിക്കുന്ന ഈ സൈൻ ബോർഡ്സ് ആണോ, അതോ ലക്ഷൂറിയസ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള എക്സ്പെൻസീവ് കാർസ് ഈ വളരെ പ്രകൃതി എന്താണ് വളരെ ഭംഗിയുള്ള ഈ പ്രകൃതി, the most beautiful, picturesque or nature at its peak എന്ന് തന്നെ പറയാം. ആ സൈഡിൽ കൂടി പോകുന്ന ഈ കാറുകളാണോ ഈ നേച്ചറിൻ്റെ ബ്യൂട്ടി നശിപ്പിക്കുന്നത്? Which one? Well, the answer lies in the perspective, or who depends on who views this or who is looking at it. If you are a rich person, you will definitely find that the BMW car or the luxurious cars that go past a beautiful landscape, a beautiful nature or natural landscape, will add beauty to the landscape. But if you are a person who loves nature, who who is very close to nature, you will find that this BMW car or this very luxurious Benz does not fit in the picture of this natural beauty. You find that man-made beauty marring or obstructing the beautiful landscape. So it is again depending on your perspective. Who is looking at it? How we look at it? Our attitude towards life. Do we favor the rich, luxurious living, or do we favor the life that is close to nature? So let's stop here. We will continue in the next class with the next few lines. We shall continue in the next class. So thank you and keep safe.